The World Cup is well underway, and it is quite a multicultural event in the United States, around where I live. Mexico versus Korea was huge. There's a sizable Korean population and also an even more sizable Mexican population over here where I live. And there were watch parties where both nationalities were present and very passionate about the game. But even beyond that, I was at a cafe the other day, and the Belgium versus Iran game was on, and there was a mini watch party at that cafe as well. So it's amazing to see at just out in the open, people celebrating their nationalities, where they came from, where their background is from. And we're doing that in the States, and I just can't help but think, like, why can't we have that for Go? I would settle for hockey, even. Hockey's not even up quite there with soccer, aka football. But you know, what's the deal with draws in football? Belgium versus Iran, 0-0. That was the final score. What I mean. Man, I imagine watching 90 minutes of a game, actually more than 90 minutes because there's, breaks and stuff. And then it's just 0-0 the entire time. Like, man, that's just so anticlimactic. That in Go, we prevent that with our 0.5 Comey, 6.5 Comey, with the 0.5 preventing the draw. And that's one of the nice things about Go, I think. You're listening to Starpoint, the show about Go for Go fans away from the board. Go is life, right? And I don't just mean that by the way of Go is such an obsessive hobby that it takes up our whole life and it becomes our identity. Although that is also true, Go, it just illustrates so many of life's experiences on the board, and it's fascinating. It's a microcosm of life, that board, that Goban. And it's very surprising that it is, because you look at the board and it's just a bunch of black and white stones on a grid. And it's just a bunch of black and white stones on a grid. And yet so many emotions, so many experiences and images are evoked on that board because of what those stones mean. And only Go players can really truly understand and see what we're talking about here. I certainly have played many games where I felt like there were many images and symbols that I've extracted from those games and felt, oh man, this really feels like that one life experience. So I wanted to go through a handful of these life experiences that the game of Go can reflect. So I just kind of want to talk about stuff like that with you guys today. First thing I want to mention is the topic of last week's episode, which was no Aji, no problems. And Aji in itself is a very Go-specific thing. And yet that image of Aji can really be used to describe so many other things. What Aji represents to me is, it's like a loose end, right? It's something that you fully haven't taken care of and can come bite you later. Something that you just left undecided, or something where you left something that might cause an issue later and you haven't really fully resolved it. I think of things like, taking out the trash. Right? If maybe you just kind of left the trash for a while, and that's some Aji, that's some stinky Aji, right? You leave the trash in there, or just cleaning in general, right? You leave a mess here and there, and that Aji can bite you later. Maybe that Aji makes it so that you lose something important, or that Aji you have an unexpected guest and you feel like you didn't take care of that, and that you lose a group in your life for that, right? Other things like adult stuff like, getting your car registration done and maintenance and taking care of debt, like credit card debt and things like that. These things, they may not feel like they're that important at the time. Like you can just kind of push it, but then after a while, if you leave it too long, they just kind of creep up on you. And things, depending on what stage of life you're in, there's all sorts of aji. There's homework, right? If you don't do your homework on time, or if you're applying for jobs, you haven't been getting around to doing that. So many things. You can procrastinate and leave aji available for it to mess up your life somehow. Not to be dramatic. But sometimes the thing that's different, or maybe there is a different analog or way to talk about this, but aji, sometimes we leave on purpose, right? Even though there's aji, we leave it on purpose. And I'm wondering, is there an analog for that? Actually, one thing comes to mind. I sometimes I like to keep a tidy household, right? But every now and then I will leave some aji. I will say, hey, you know what? Those dishes don't need to be put away right now. And there's a balance to that, right? I think there were points in my life where I didn't like aji at all, and I just wanted to take care of everything. And you realize at a certain point that that's almost impossible. You always have aji in your life. And so at a certain point, you have to just make a decision like, hey, this one I'm not going to take care of right now because I don't want to burn myself out. I don't want to get super stressed about it. And that aji is low risk, right? That's what we do. When we leave aji on the board, we don't leave high risk aji on the board. We leave low risk aji, right? Certain things like that are more pressing, maybe aji that you don't want around. If that aji is concerns your health, right? You may not want to leave that aji. You might want to make sure that your food isn't expired and is not rotting, right? That's not aji that you should probably take on. But if it's like, you forgot to wipe down the table and you're just exhausted and it's like, I don't want to wipe down the table right now, right? That's not you might get ants. There's some aji there, but who knows, right? You have to make judgment calls. You have to leave aji in life. And that's one lesson that Go teaches is that, if you have aji, you have things that can go wrong, but you have to manage your risks. Another thing that I find super relatable that appears on the Go board that I also experience in life is when you tunnel vision on a fight or an exchange or sequence on the board, and you forget all about tanuki, and you just commit fully to that sequence, and you exchange your ideas with your opponent with that sequence, just spiraling out of control, forgetting the big picture, forgetting to zoom out. And that really feels to me, especially when you, at the end of all that, you realize you didn't gain much, or you lost, or you totally ruined the board for yourself, right? That feels to me like, I think if you're human, you've experienced this at some point in your life, but when you get into a pointless argument with somebody, and maybe it's late at night, and you just can't seem to stop yourself from arguing with this person because of many reasons, right? It might be emotional, it might be that you just can't let go of being wrong, or you feel very much that you're right and you just can't let them go and say that they can think what they think. Difficult to stop an argument. Maybe you're online and you're doing a comment war with somebody and you just keep talking to them. This happens all the time. You see them everywhere. But it's very difficult to stop sometimes, and for some reason, because it's just the humanness in us that just wants to just keep going. You forget what time it is. It's 2 a.m. You look around and you're like, why do we talk about this for the past few hours? Why are we talking about this right now? And you realize you made no progress at all, right? And it's difficult to stop. And that's something that I feel is very analogous to what happens on the Go board. So it's like we need to figure out how to tanuki in real life sometimes, as we do need to figure out how to tanuki on the Go board. What does tanukiing in real life look like, though? That is another thing. It can be as small as distracting yourself by, if like you're sitting on on your sofa with the phone in your hand and you're doom scrolling for like an hour, right? You forget that you can tanuki from that situation. You can go out for a walk or a jog. You can turn on some music and maybe properly relax, change into your comfortable clothes or something, right? There are things that you can do. Or it can even be as big as like you need to tanuki from your current career, right? Like you're currently locked into a certain career path or job. You're not liking it. There are problems, there's issues with it. And you forget you can tanuki. You can go look for a new job. I mean, it may not be as easy as it sounds, but it is a thing. I think tanuki is a very important lesson that Go teaches us. We got to be able to tanuki not only in our everyday life, but in our big plan of life, right? I think that's a worthy piece of advice. I think along the same lines of tunnel visioning on a fight and not being able to tanuki, another specific scenario that I feel happens on the Go board that I feel is something that happens in real life is when you chase a dragon. I haven't chased a dragon in a while, or maybe in one of my recent correspondence games I have. I like chasing dragons, but I know that it's not right in Go usually. But it's really like a Moby Dick thing, right? Like just going for something that you really want, but for no other reason other than just you want to get that dragon. And you kind of lose all perspective. You forget what's important in life. You forget what you're supposed to be doing, right? It could be many levels of obsession, right? Someone might, like, it could be Go itself, right? Right? You might be playing Go, chasing a dragon on the board, but the dragon you're chasing in real life is one dan in Go rank, right? Maybe you're chasing that Go rank dragon, and you forget what your priorities are, and it might not be a good thing, but it could also be anything else, really, right? A lot of the similar stuff is like if you're trying to passionately chase a dragon of your hobby, right, of just getting better at it, depending on what hobby it is. It could be some kind of sport or video game or instrument or something, right? You might just be all in, and it's good to be passionate about something, but we shouldn't lose perspective on what else is important in our lives. It could even be something as your career, like you want this really, really big job. And, I had a friend who wanted, I had multiple friends who wanted certain things out of certain jobs, and they chased that dragon. And then when they got it, they found that it's not really what they wanted. It didn't make them happy. That's what happens in Go. You chase this dragon, and then you lose it, right? You lose the dragon inevitably. There's that proverb, a large dragon never dies, or something like that. And you realize that your whole chase was pointless, because what happens is that whole chase leaves a whole bunch of your stones in weak and compromised positions, and by the end of the chase, you're in shambles if you don't kill that dragon. Or you kill the dragon and you feel great, and it's an amazing experience, and it feeds the rush, and you want to do it again. But overall, that's not been my experience chasing dragons. So I think that's definitely a thing that happens in life, happens on the Go board. We have something that we really want, whether it's money or power or fame or something, right? And we just kind of go all in on it. And not to say that it's bad to be passionate about stuff. It certainly is, but we should also keep in mind our perspective and be realistic about our expectations. Like when you're chasing dragons, look at the shapes you're leaving in your own stones, right? Like if you're making your stones all ugly and not good, not working together while you're chasing that dragon, if you better catch that dragon, because otherwise you're gonna be in bad shape. You could also play too defensively. Some things like style on how we play the game can really give us some insight on our lives, right? If you're playing too defensively all the time and you're fixing all your shapes and you're spending all your moves doing that and being very conservative, that can represent something in your personality. It can represent something in your decision making in life, like you're too scared to try new things. You don't want to lose anything, right? So you're ultra conservative and you're super risk averse, and you don't step out of your boundaries. and stay in your comfort zone. And this could apply to many things, right? Your career, your friends, your dating life, right? You can get stuck in your own ways. And in Go, that happens not only, I guess defensive conservatively is the most like one-to-one analogous, but you could be stuck in your own ways in many ways in Go. You can be stuck in your own ways offensively in Go. You can always be attacking, and that's your comfort zone. And not being able to scale things back can be something that you experience and relate to in life. Like just having a certain MO in life and not being able to adjust course. Okay, one of the most devastating things that you can do in Go is have a one game where you're significantly at an advantage throughout the most of the game, and then you lose because of a small mistake. This teaches us to really tighten up our ship, right? And look at what we're dealing with and making sure that we protect what we value. Because when we have a victory incoming and you lose because of a small, stupid mistake, that's a terrible feeling. It's terrible. And it's just the reality of Go. And honestly, it is the reality of life. You could have a beautiful house and a beautiful life and a beautiful relationship, and a small mistake like leaving the stove on could cause a fire, causing your house to burn down, God forbid. Right, something like that. Literally, quite literally, a proverb. Going fishing with you. Imagine you left your house on fire and you went fishing. That can actually happen. You can go fishing when your house is on fire, and then you're back to square one. But it's emotionally devastating to lose that much in a Go game, and even more so in real life. I have a friend who lost a whole bunch of stuff due to a fire, and he just kind of took it on the nose, not on the nose, on the chin, is that the saying? And just moved on with life, and so, I lost all my stuff, but I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm moving forward. That, that's a commendable mindset. And a useful one if you're playing Go as well, because you can lose a bunch of stuff in Go on the board, and then also move on and realize that the whole game may not be lost. And the faster you're able to bounce back from that, the better. And then we have some kind of smaller ones here, like Joseki. Joseki to me represents reading IKEA instructions, right? Not trying to figure that out on your own and shove a bunch of wooden dowels in the wrong holes, if you know what I mean. But actually looking at the IKEA instructions, reading them out, and going step by step through each of them. And that's what Joseki is to me, instead of winging everything. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that one doesn't shine as brightly as the others. One that does shine brightly is Tsuji, is when you have a good idea. I don't know how else to say it. But Tsuji is like a clever trick, right? Maybe a better thing for Tsuji would be something that is like a shortcut, like a life hack. That's what a Tsuji is, I think. A Tsuji is like a life hack. You know what a Tsuji is? One time I had a door in the house that was locked, and I was locked outside of the door. So I looked up the Tsuji for that situation, and you take a credit card, like a unused credit card, and you fold it, and you're able to slide it in the seam and unlock the door. And that's one way to resolve that situation. I consider that a Tsuji moment in my life. And then you have kind of, I feel like for Go, you have these little things like Joseki and Tsuji, but you also have the big picture things. And one of those big picture things is the theme of greed in Go. I've always said that there is no other game that teaches you the lessons of greed better than Go. It's just so balanced. It's not like a mechanic, convoluted way of teaching greed. I think maybe we can imagine other games where if you get too greedy, if you push your luck, you will get punished by a red card that destroys your points or whatever. Or you do have literal push your luck games where you try to roll and you can keep going to get a better result. Okay, these are fine, but I feel Go is so good at this. Go teaches you greed in a way where you can take care of your greed and you can actually be greedy in smart ways. And yet it's just an active force that is fighting against you. If you get too greedy, you lose things. And it's not like you can predict when you will lose those things. It's just there, and it's like hovering over you as you play. And you want to be greedy to an extent, but you have to keep it under control. And I feel like that is, I don't know, it's just, I really like that aspect of Go. And what that reminds me of, I think most immediately is, obviously in real life, right, just being greedy in general and doing that will kind of just not lead to good things, but maybe even companies, corporations taking more and more, right, juicing their consumers until they collapse, right? They forget that consumer and customer support is the foundation of their business, and they just try to churn out as much of a profit as they can, and that leads to kind of discarding everything else, and then they just collapse as a corporation. It doesn't have to be about materialistic or wealth things. It can be about many other things, like being too greedy with trying to be likable to everybody, right? You're trying to win the popularity contest and you're trying to make sure everybody likes you, and because of that you find out that, I don't know, maybe no one likes you on a deeper level or something, right? There are many things that we can be greedy with, and we all know that leads to not the good path. And then we have opening and bases. So this is like when you're setting up the game, when you're starting the game, and you make sure you follow good opening principles. And then you have bases for your groups, and you're making sure that they have space and they have room to grow and you have a good foundation. I feel like this is analogous to setting up your own life, right? Making sure you are studying, going to school, networking and creating good relationships with your friends and family, not just for, not just to get an advantage in life, to like advance your career or whatnot, but also just for your emotional health, right? Just making sure you have good relationships with everybody. And as you grow older, you will see those relationships mature and things like that. And I think that's kind of what opening and bases like reminds me of. When you start life, you are trying to make sure everything is in place, right? And things obviously go wrong, as they do on the Go board, right? Things may not be right. You might have to move because of your parents' career situations, or some of you may have gone through your parents getting through a divorce, things like that. There are many tragedies that happen. Tragedies also happen on the Go board, and you have to deal with them, and you have to be able to figure out how to create and lay that foundation so that you can set yourself up for success later in life. Or if you're already later in life and maybe you screwed up the opening. Maybe the opening wasn't the best opening that you've had. Well, think of it this way. You can maybe start a new game. Think of it in your head as starting a new game. Maybe you can clear out your debts. You can go in to resolve relationships that you kind of have soured. And there are so many things you can do to get yourself back in that opening phase of the game and create a new game for yourself. So with all those things, what do I think Go teaches us in life? And I think I did an episode solely on this before, but let's go over a few things that I find to be important lessons that Go teaches us very, very naturally. First thing I think of is to be patient. You don't need to win everything at once. I think Go teaches you that more than many other games, right? A lot of other games, they reward you for trying as hard as you can and getting as much as you can as fast as you can. But Go actually kind of punishes you if you try to do that. And so I think that lesson of just you will gain an advantage little by little is such a very big lesson. And it's a lesson in Go learning as it is as well, because as you learn Go, you have to realize that your learning of Go isn't going to be like a quick spike in knowledge in one day, but over a long period of time, you will start to see the patterns. You will start to see the shapes and the tsujis and the moves that you need to be able to make, and that will come over a long period of time. And that's with learning anything, right? You can learn language that way, you can learn music that way, but it has to be consistent and through a long period of time. And I think Go perfectly represents that, because Go is kind of a long game and you have to gain an advantage bit by bit rather than trying to force your advantage with one fell swoop, right? Taking things day by day, making sure you are making bite-sized progress and not trying to mess too much with what's not broken. I think a lot of people, they get a little too anxious on the Go board and they try to do too many things, and then they kind of ruin things for themselves. And as they mature as Go players, they realize, I don't have to do everything all at once. I just have to make sure I'm just calm and I'm just making good bite-sized exchanges. And life is very much like that, right? We may not be in the best place sometimes, but you take everything day by day and you make a little improvement every single day. You may realize you are in a very blessed place several years from now, or even sooner. I know I've experienced stuff like that. Go also teaches us, I think, to be conscientious. You have to care about the details when you're playing Go. You can't just scribble, right? Metaphorically speaking, in Go. You can't just rush through things and just be very careless about things. You have to pay attention, especially when it matters. You don't have to pay attention 100% of the time. I think that's a misconception. I think you have to recognize when things are important and then be very detail-oriented and thorough when those moments happen. And that's a very good lesson in life, right? You don't have to be... I think if you try to be super conscientious about every single thing in your life, you will find that your focus will shift to the wrong things and you are not targeting the right things according to your values. But if you are able to recognize what is actually important to you and then be very thorough and be very careful about those big things, then it can be very valuable to you in life. And finally, I think I mentioned this already, but one last lesson I think that Go teaches us is not to dwell on our mistakes, because that happens in Go all the time. We make mistakes. We make disappointing decisions in Go, and things may not go right. But the more you dwell on them, the more you fiddle with them and then just try to just focus on what you've done wrong, the more the game turns sour and the more it actually just goes bad. And so to be able to not dwell on those mistakes, focus on the big picture and try to turn everything around, I think it's a really good lesson that Go teaches us in life. And I hope all these lessons and analogies that I make are relatable to you, and I'm curious to know what you guys think about Go and how it looks like life. These were some of the reflections that I had at the top of my head when I think about how Go represents life. But Go is such a rich game. I'm sure I'm missing so many more interpretations of the board and situations. So please chime in and tell me about what you see on the board, how things are represented on the board, and how that reminds you of certain things in life. It can be even like more specific than what I did. I kind of went through a very general approach. I have this game that I might have mentioned this, but one time I played this game and I was in such a flow state, and I was looking at the stones, and these stones are like, if you look from an outsider perspective, these stones are just, I don't know, it's just a QR code. It's just black and white stones on a grid. It looks so simple and so not full of detail. But I remember this game, I was so locked in and I was so in the zone that after I finished the game, I had this thought of like, that board to me was as rich in detail as an apple, like a real life apple, with all the colors on the apple, the little, fibers and the leaf and the shadows and all that amount of detail. It felt like I was looking at an apple on the board, not literally an apple, but like with that level of detail, that level of emotion even, right? Because when you look at an apple, it evokes a certain emotion, a certain feeling. and a certain richness to the visuals and memories. And that's kind of how I felt about Go. It's just such a rich thing, even though it looks so simple. It's just like checkers, right? You just like, what is that? Tic-tac-toe? No, it's Go. And I think that's, that beauty, it's a reward. It's a beautiful reward for having spent time in the game. And now it's time for the DDK Advice Corner. And the tip of the day is dive in. Okay, I'm talking about the opening very early in the game. I see a lot of DDKs sticking to one side. They just like to stay on one side of the board. And they do that until, I don't know, they get bored of that side or something, and then they do like a crazy invasion. Dive in. Make your opening varied, right? Don't be afraid to put stones, like if it's like a Nirensei opening and you have 2 stones on star points and 2 stones on the other colors, stones are also on star points and they're not crossed. Throw a stone in the other side. Don't just put in like a Sanrensei or I mean, you can, but like, I think it's important to try to dive in and mix up the stones early on and know how they behave with each other, because I think a lot of DDKs, they just kind of stick to one side for some reason. It's just comfortable, and they just kind of avoid confrontation almost. Maybe that's another life lesson, right? And just being able to have confrontation when it's appropriate. But now it's time for listener mail. Spooky writes, "Hi Justin, in episode 130, you said you were surprised KGS wasn't listed as a Japanese server. It's actually American and is maintained by the American Go Federation." So when you say American Go Federation, do you mean the North American Go Federation? Because the 2 organizations I'm familiar with are the AGA, the American Go Association, and the NAGF, the North American Go Federation. So I'm assuming you mean by the NA Go Fed, but I'm pretty sure the NA Go Fed is somewhat new of an organization. So I wonder if it was like a recent takeover. I have to do some research on that. The K comes from the fact that it was sponsored by Kiseido Publishing for a while. The K stayed even after that arrangement ended. Okay, so that makes some sense, right? So it was originally a Japanese server, but now I guess you're saying it's kind of more of an American server. By the way, at my rank, 5Q on KGS, I often find it quicker to find an auto match game on KGS than on OGS. Recently, I was trying both at the same time and I got matched on KGS after my OGS game was started. I resigned before my first move and I think it still counted as a loss. Oh, that's kind of more punishing on the KGS side. That is one thing I don't like about Fox, is the constant resignations that I've experienced, because you need to make like 5 or 6 moves or 10 moves even, I don't remember, before the game is actually counted in your rank on Fox. So you can feel free to eject from the game, and people often do that by like looking at the history, and then they just try to find the opponent that they like, or maybe they want a certain color, they want to play as black, and they just keep rolling the dice until they do so. I don't really like that, so maybe that's a good preventative measure. But yeah, I think the thing is, the problem with KGS is that you need a rank before you start auto matching, right? Because I don't have a rank on KGS, so I need that question mark to go away. Also, I didn't realize even that there was an auto match feature on KGS. Wasn't it always just a invite, or not invite, but like create a room and then join type of thing? Or is that a new feature? I'd have to check that out. But anyway, yeah, thanks for rating it, Spooky. IG8432 says, "I want to say that 2 things I like about playgo.gg, which I haven't noticed from others. 1. They are clearly putting in effort to build something special. This is seen from them holding that first big-named tournament and the follow-ups they plan to have coming. 2. Community interaction. For the tournament, they talked with the community, asking the community what questions they may have. I think it's so cool they asked Kimonji to shout out to my daughter. Also, they asked the other male players my question. Related to community interactions, they also have an active Discord and they take a lot of feedback and turn around pretty quickly on it. I've had a few features I suggested put into place." That's awesome to hear. It's great. I have gotten that vibe. I haven't really interacted with them much, but I just gotten that vibe from them that they do want to engage with the community, which is also a little sad because I think the community was very negative for a while at playgo.gg for their botting stuff. But as I said, it's funny because when I did my do we need another Go server episode, that was kind of recorded before a lot of the discourse had taken place regarding this. You gotta, it's harder than you think, right? And maybe you're just kind of a naysayer and you're just like, we don't need any more Go servers. But these people are trying to do something. They're trying to make something for Go, and I say that we should welcome that. And any dishonesty in terms of botting, as I mentioned in the other episode, right? It's a balance, right? And obviously, we don't want to play bots. We don't want to be told that we're playing humans and then be playing bots. But it's kind of impossible for a server to get off the ground without some of that happening, I think, right? It's very difficult in any case, right? And so I would say it is like, maybe there's a better solution out there. I certainly can't think of one, but when you have something new come up and you go in and no one's there, it's just gonna die immediately. And so that's just a very difficult challenge. I would say maybe have a little bit of empathy for the developers in that regard. I certainly don't think they're trying to trick you guys into playing Go, right? I don't think that's just like their top priority to deceive and just create a bot server and say, ha ha ha, look at them. They all think that they're playing against humans. So I think it was a little bit harsh. The community reaction, I think, was a little harsh on playgo.gg. That's my 2 cents. I really enjoy their puzzle run, especially the mini boss mode, but the thing is, if they want to really hook me on that site, I need a better correspondence mode where I can pick up games against other random people. That's all I really play on OGS, so if I had that, it could really get me going. I've been using their easy visual puzzles to teach my daughter, which has been nice. Well, thank you for writing in, Aji, and correspondence is an interesting thing because I feel what happens to OGS is that it started off as a correspondence server, and now I think it's very much, I feel the identity of OGS is very correspondence heavy, and maybe with this server, they want to de-emphasize that, and maybe OGS is the correspondence king, and then this new server could possibly, if they do live games better, why not, right? Have them be the live games king. But as it stands right now, OGS is still the option to go with. I still haven't picked up a game on playgo.gg, so I plan on doing it soon, and maybe I'll get a bot, but I don't really care. So I'll try it out at some point and let you guys know. Will C. Tasty? Well, no, not Tasty. Will C. Zasty. Wilk Zasty says, you may have a list of must-have/nice-to-have features, but in the end, player base beats everything, smiley face. Fox has all ticks on how should a Go server not look like, but players around the world go through that hassle to tap into the huge player base. 5K at lowest, 40K players on daily peak. There is no UI or feature that can top it. 100% agree. Yes, I agree with that completely. Player base, that's you might have the ugliest, jankiest Go server, but if it has the player base that is supported and you can find a match in a few seconds, then that's the server you're going to use. And honestly, Fox isn't that bad. Like it's not great. I don't like it. There's a lot of stuff in there that's just kind of like what. But while you're playing a game, all that melts away, right? As long as the Go board looks okay and works okay, then that's enough, really. But I mean, come on, we can improve. We can improve on this, and I don't know. Maybe we need to find out how to get Fox players to exodus into something else, because Fox, I mean, come on, they have to be annoyed with Fox's shenanigans too, right? Like having to open that client. But I guess, the more I think about it, they probably just are used to it, and they just kind of they don't need to look. But there is an influx of the new players going to Fox. That's the thing. If you have a server that is better than Fox, and that influx of new players starts to go towards that server, eventually Fox will whittle down, and it'll just be the old it's kind of what happened to KGS, right? I mean, it's at a much smaller scale. But at some point, people were like, I want to open a browser and play Go. I don't want to go in and install a client. And so they started signing up for OGS, and slowly but surely KGS whittled down, and it's just But what Spooky said was that it's easier to find a match on KGS, but I wanna go test that theory as well. Anyway, thanks for writing in. And then my boy, very short comment in response to if we needed another Go server. Nope. So I'm assuming this is out of concern for the player base, and I totally get that concern. Thanks for writing in. I am Burger6645 writes, in reference to adding OGS, because I talked about the OGS web app, and I am Burger writes, you can do that with OGS already. It even shows as the OGS icon on my home screen, unless I'm misinterpreting your ask. And I think you might be misinterpreting my ask, because yes, I also have OGS on my home screen as the OGS icon, but it is not a dedicated, it's called a PWA, Progressive Web App. And it's different because it has a couple additional capabilities. If you install a website, let's say I gave Go Magic as an example because Go Magic has done this. If you save Go Magic onto your home screen, you will see the Go Magic icon on the home screen. But if you open it, you will see no URL bar. It'll just be Go Magic. You won't be able to navigate to any other site, and it's just Go Magic. It's full screen, and Go Magic is able to give you notifications if you allow them. So with a bookmark is what you're describing, I think, with OGS icon on your home screen. It's just a bookmark. It opens up Chrome or Safari or what have you, and it directs you to that page, but it cannot send you notifications, right? So if you allow notifications, that's huge, right? So if I can have notifications pop up when somebody plays a move or when I'm running out of time, that would be huge for me. I don't want to go through email for that. Anyway, I hope that clarifies things. I am Burger. Question of the week this week is, how have you seen Go reflect life in general? Have you seen things on the Go board that reminded you of things in real life? If you want to share your thoughts on that question, please leave a comment wherever you found this episode, or you can email me at starpointbaduk@gmail.com. That's starpointbaduk@gmail.com. If you're a YouTube listener, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a podcast listener, reviews and ratings also help, and give a follow if you haven't already. Thank you very much. A special thank you, as always, to James B., Brendan S., Tristan, Jeff H., Tyrannoton, and Andrew P. for supporting Starpoint. I'm very grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. If you're interested in supporting Starpoint in any capacity, you can go to kofi.com/starpointpaduk, that's ko-fi, or check out the Starpoint store at store.starpointpaduk.com. And don't forget to join the Discord. You can find the link in the description. Talk about Go, find matches, join the community, and talk about random Go stuff. I'm at the end of my rope here, losing my voice, but I need to say a joke. A newcomer shows up to the Go Club, to a Go Club, and the members excitedly welcome the newcomer in, and of course, they ask the name and all that, but they ask, how strong are you? So what's your rank, right? And the newcomer says, oh, I'm about 7 to 8 Q, right? And he says, great, I can match you up with somebody close to your skill level. Here, why don't you play with this 9Q player? And as they're playing, the 9Q notices some odd behavior. The newcomer places a stone not on the intersection, but in the square, and has to nervously correct that, okay, you don't play on there, and then the newcomer starts chucking stones across the room and says, I thought this is how you play Go. And the 9Q then takes a moment and whispers to one of the other club members and says, I don't think this person is 7 to 8 Q, and they don't even know how to play the game. They're just chucking stones. And the newcomer overhears this and says, what do you mean? I'm 100% 78 Q. Thank you for listening. Keep playing Go.